startup that we are putting out on the show. Well, on-demand logistics platform Porter has recently raised $200 million, and that in a funding round led by Kedara Capital and Wellington Management. In fact, that comprises of both primary and secondary transactions. This funding round has taken the company's valuation to $1.2 billion. So Porter has become the second unicorn company of 2025 after this valuation was reached at. It was founded by Uttam Digga, Pranav Goyal and Vikas Chaudhary in 2014, and of course has had a good run so far as the logistics space is concerned. So let's now head over and talk to the co-founder, one of the co-founders of the company, Uttam Digga, who's the co-founder and CEO of Porter. Thank you very much, Uttam, for joining us here on ET Now, and congratulations on achieving that unicorn status. Can you please walk us through the recent funding round, the valuation that you have achieved, and what does this really mean for Porter as a company?
I think whether it's unicorn or not unicorn, I think these are vanity metrics. And as a business, we are just committed to solve for our customers, which is SMEs on demand side and gig workers on supply side. What this funding would mean is that we can meaningfully contribute to their life in a much richer way.
Right, Uttam. So you did speak about the fact that you are into on-demand logistics, but tell us a bit more about your company. How many geographies are you operating in? When you started 2014, what was the business model then? And what is the business model that you have now?
As Porter, we specialize in on-demand intra-city logistics. So anything from a pin to Pentagon. If you want to move from a city from point A to point B, Porter is to the go-to app. As a company, we focus on SMEs as our core user audience and gig workers, which help us to fulfill these orders from SMEs.
Right. So, Uttam, let me ask you once again, your journey from when you started off in 2014 to now that you've become a unicorn, although you've been very humble about the fact that, it doesn't really matter whether you remain a startup, whether you achieve the unicorn status or not. But tell us, how's your journey been overall?
So we started our journey now 10 to 11 years ago, back in Mumbai in 2014. I think I would classify that first phase, which is first 2-3 years, where we were figuring out our product market fit and learning how to build this network. We made our own set of mistakes because we were first-time founders and learned from our experiences. Once we have figured out that how this network is how this network gets created and how to scale, then we started expanding to more cities, more categories. And then COVID happened. In COVID, we asked a lot of hard questions to ourselves. We closed certain businesses which were not adding long-term value, and we started a bunch of new businesses. And after COVID, I think it was a great phase for us. The market adoption for our truck business, which was our core business back then, and our newer businesses, all of them were doing very great. So again, I think after COVID, you would see that despite a meaningful scale, we have been compounded well. And I think the growth mantra has been pretty simple. We have been focused on adding more geographies on one side, and to enhance the penetration in these geographies, we have enhanced or we have given more offering to our customer in terms of more services. So I think that's how we have been able to grow the business. And in coming few years, we would again focus on these two levers only.
All right. So operational growth of the company and diversifying into various geographies that you say has been the key lever behind the company's growth. And we'll come to that point in just a bit, Uttam. But I want to now understand from you in terms of what's the biggest challenge. You talked about your journey. What's the biggest challenge that Porter has faced in scaling its operations in the country, given that logistics is a complex industry to operate in? And, every sector that you operate in, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's, some other sector, EVs, every sector has its own asks.
That's correct. So if you look at logistics and our customer base SMEs usually what we have seen in our experience, though they are not early adopters, but great followers. So for us to build critical mass into a particular geography for a particular category takes time and effort. And that's one of the challenge. And the second thing is that if you look look at goods movement, it's far more heterogeneous compared to, let's say, industries like passenger movement. And you have to solve for the nuances of the industry. How we load it, how it would be unloaded, whether the payment is already paid or it would be collected at the time of delivery, and so on and so forth. So these are the nuances which is associated with goods movement because of the heterogeneity nature of the industry.
Right. But how do you plan to deploy this fresh capital, Uttam, with specific areas that you'll be focusing on?
So if you look at our customers, what does an SME customer care about? They care about that whenever they need a vehicle, they should get a vehicle. They should get at an affordable price, and it should come fast. With this funding, what we would do is, we would reach out to more customers. So that's the geography expansion angle. We would try to make our service more and more efficient so that he can consume the service at a lower price. It would also help us to build a much more reliable network, so that we can boost our fulfillment close to 90+%. So I think that's what we'll try to achieve on the customer side. On the partner side, if you look at our partners, what he cares about is the quantum of earning, consistent earning, and a rapid settlement. With this funding, I think we would be able to deliver everything well for him. So again, I think net net, if I were to take a stab, that at an Uber point, what we're trying to do is it would help us to not only serve more SMEs and gig workers, but also help to enhance their experience on the platform.
Uttam, you did speak at some point during this interaction that it was, COVID and the era post-COVID that really gave significant growth to your company. And speaking in that light, how do you really see the logistics and last mile delivery sector evolving in India over the next 5 years? And how do you really expect the company to grow, given the time that we're in? I mean, everything is moving digital. We want more convenience. So what's the growth that you're anticipating for the company?
So one of the pattern, Samita, we are observing is, uh, I think in general, people want more and more on demand and just in time. Uh, and hence, one of the pattern which we are observing is that instead of schedule, more and more things are moving to on demand. The second pattern which we are observing in an industry is the shipment size or the packet size in each transactions is reducing. So smaller vehicles are the business from a smaller vehicles is going to increase. So I think these are the two patterns which we are observing, and luckily for us, I think both these patterns add a great deal of synergy to our growth, because I think we are an on-demand intracity logistic company. Because we are intracity, the core vehicle segments which we deal in are smaller vehicles. So we feel that we are well poised to leverage on both of these growth indicators.
Right. So, Uttam, you did speak about the fact that your maximum growth is coming from expanding into different geographies within India. But tell us, how big is the addressable market for Porter today, and where do you see the biggest percentage of growth coming from for the company the most?
So in our market today, if you look at our market share, I think we would be like single digit percentage in terms of a market penetration. So we feel that the market in which we operate has a lot of depth, and that's what we want to focus. I think it's more about we have to do the same in a better way rather than exploring more and more markets for growth for next few years.
Right. And Uttam, with ONDC and other digital logistics enablers rising, how do you really see Porter really integrating and adding value due to ONDC? Although there's been a slight bit of dip with respect to ONDC and how it was promised in the beginning, but how's that working for you?
So ONDC is a great initiative. A couple of quarters ago, we ourselves went live on that. It's a strategic initiative for us. Though it's early days, but whatever we have seen or experienced in ONDC till this point, I think has been positive. So we feel that it would just make integrations between the platform easier, and that would help to solve problems for the user in a much more efficient way.
Right. So you're seeing ONDC as an opportunity, although there have been some concerns that have been raised with respect to the viability of ONDC going forward. But good to get a bullish view from you on ONDC as a platform. But Uttam, to help us understand the financials of the company. As a company, are you profitable? You've been operating since 2014, but profitability is something that really matters in today's day and age. So are you profitable as a company?
That was one of the goal which was there last year, and we have been able to achieve that in few of the quarters. So one of the good thing about us in last couple of years have been that the growth has been fairly secular. Our mature markets are also scaling well. Our growth markets are doing better because the base is smaller in that market. Our mature business are generating are profitable, and we have been able to fund our growth initiatives out of those profit. I think those are the things directionally which I thought I will just share.
All right. One final question, Uttam, before we wrap up this discussion. Now, what are going to be the focus areas for the company? What are your expansion plans in near-term and long-term focus areas for you? What are those going to be? Is this going to be more about expanding into tier 2 towns and cities, or is this going to be something else so far as your company is concerned, which essentially is into on-demand logistics?
So I would not comment on next couple of months, but let's say next few years. See, I think as I mentioned that we will be doing the same of what we've been doing in the past. For example, every year we launch few cities. So I think roughly around 4 to 6 cities where we expand within India. I think we'll continue to expedite that. Every year we also experiment with newer services in order to solve our customers' problem much more deeply. I think we'll continue to expand on that as well. So maybe with the new funding, maybe we'll up the level of experimentation on these categories. But I think that's what we would be able to do. We'll invest more in the existing network so that this network can become much more denser than what it is today. Because the network effect business, once you make your network more denser, it would help you to serve the users on both sides better, which is better fulfillment, better price for customers, better earnings, and more consistent earnings for our partners. So I think those are the things which we'll do in next, let's say, couple of quarters.
All right. Thank you very much, Uttam, for taking the time out once again and speaking to us right here on ET Now on the company's growth plans after you've become, one of the unicorns of 2025. Here's wishing you all the very best on your journey ahead.